You're at the MSO virtual open house, and we're excited for what this time is going to hold. We're gathering here from different parts of the country. A couple of us I know are in Pennsylvania. I'm in Sarasota, Florida, suffering down here for Jesus, and then we've got someone over in North Carolina, right close to Charlotte. So I want to begin our time and kind of let you know where we're going with these moments that we have together here. But I first just want to say thank you so much for giving us some of your time, because we believe that God has positioned Ministry Studies Online to really serve his church for this time. And we're super excited to be involved with this. And we are watching God do some phenomenal things, to be sure. So this is what you can expect as we go through this. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to introduce our guests in just a minute. We've got some super special people with us that you want to meet, and I'm going to have them each share a little bit of what they're doing with MSO. Then I want to give an MSO overview, our ministry studies overview, a little bit of the history, but like my wife says, don't tell so much of the story, just get to the good stuff. So we're going to try to do that here today. Then we want to open it up for some Q&A if there's some questions from our guests and for our guests. Then I want to tell you about XLA, a new opportunity that we're seeing, that we believe that God again has postured and gotten ready for such a time as this. In the middle of a pandemic, what do we do when we have people called into ministry? And we'll have some more questions, and then we have some gifts for you that have joined us, and so we want to share those with you as well. So first of all, then I want to just introduce our guests to you. All right, the first one is Dr. Beth Baker. We share the last same name and a marriage for 35 years. And so she is one of our KidMin studies professors, and she's also our director of curriculum and instruction. And so it's good to have you here. Beth, why don't you just say hello and tell us why you're involved or why you're excited about MSO.
Hi, everybody. Well, obviously he's my husband, so I kind of get the inside scoop of most things, but I'm just really excited to help develop the curriculum and instructional piece of MSO to make the courses a lot more unified and uniform and user-friendly. So that's kind of my role in the background. And then I'm also a professor of record for some of the KidMin programs, and it's been fun. I've taught 2 of the courses already and really have enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to some great experiences in the future.
Yeah, I'll just tell you, just a week or so ago, we were able to be on a Skype call, or actually a Zoom call, with Dr. Doug Lowenberg, and his wife, actually, Corrine, joined us. But he is developing our most recent global studies online. You're going to hear about that in a little while, but it's so great to have these stellar people that are in the field doing the work of the Lord, and to be able to have them create a class, and then for us to be able to format it to make it usable for you that are studying for ministry. Our next guest that we have with us today is Dr. Ron Hall. He is a key person in our pastoral studies professor team, and he's a part of the MSO Vision team. Dr. Hall has been a good friend of mine for a while. Right. What, 20 years, I guess, right? And so super excited to have this man involved, not just in the I want to say the logistics of how MSO works, but the heart and soul of MSO, speaking into the vision and the passion of what MSO can bring to people. He brings just a lifetime of ministry and academic work, and keeps me straight and forward sometimes. So I appreciate Dr. Hall. Why don't you say hello, Dr. Hall, and tell us why you're excited about MSO.
We're glad you can join us. I've been from the ground floor as Phil had the vision years ago and formulated it. What kind of classes do we need to make a go of it? And I believed in it from the beginning, because I knew that we needed to find a way to make it easier for people to go into ministry at a lower cost, because it can be so astronomical, and a way to give access to people that are working in local churches to have an impact. And so these courses have been shaped and designed by people that are fully developed, have been at ministry for years, so they're practitioners. And not only practitioners, they bring academic excellence to the table. And I'm privileged to be a part of that and work hand in hand with Phil.
Great. Awesome. It's great to have you, Dr. Hall. Our last guest that we have with us here is a good friend of mine, Chris McNaney. He is the MSO Student Support Specialist. And so if you're a student out there, you've probably received emails from him. And not only that, though, he's been helping to shape and form MSO and the vision for MSO. So he's on our vision team. And he's also the director of Harvest Leadership Academy, which when we start talking about the XLA, the Leadership Academies, he's going to be able to share with us a little bit. Why don't you say hi, Chris, and tell us why you're excited about MSO.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you for tuning in to this really great initiative. MSO is, I mean, I was kind of around for some of the baby steps of MSO as well. And, and I've loved seeing the way MSO has grown and changed, and your passion for it is undying. So I love being able to be a part of it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it's good to have you with us, Chris, as always. We've been able to share wings at some shady places, you know, and and dream a bit together, and we'll always appreciate your part in all of this. So I'm going to do a screen share here and start to kind of walk through MSO and what it's about, and so that you get a sense of kind of understanding for some of you, MSO will be brand new, and for some, you're going to know more about it. So let's make sure we're all caught up to speed. And tell me if indeed you can see that. Can you see that okay? All right. Chris gives me the thumbs up. That's a good thing. All right. So right off, I just want you to know MSO, Ministry Studies Online, is a 30-credit, fully online, college-level ministry training program that consists of 10 courses in a track. There's the 5 foundational courses and 5 ministry-specific courses in these areas: youth, KidMin, pastoral, and global studies. I'm going to jump ahead, and I feel like I'm already off here. Let me see. Yeah, I've got the wrong PowerPoint going on here. I'm sharing the wrong one. So let me stop and back this up just a moment. Oh, don't you love technology when it works? There we go. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing now. It's so cool when you share the wrong PowerPoint. It's just so special. There we go. Do you see it again?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Okay. So the story of MSO. I promise Beth I'm gonna make this short. But here's the story of MSO. It started as YSO, Youth Studies Online, back in 2011, as I was at the University of Valley Forge, and we were watching students feel a call to ministry, but they would come to our school and they would get in such debt that they couldn't afford to go into ministry. And unfortunately, I know several that are out there still that may be called to the mission field, called the youth ministry or whatever, but the debt is so big that they can't afford to do the ministry that they felt called to initially. So we started to see that, and that's why YSO, Youth Studies Online, began. When I left Valley Forge and I took YSO with me, we had to redo it, so we called it YSO 2.0, but it began in Pennsylvania, and we were excited to see this continue. At some point, we realized it's bigger than just youth ministry. It's kids ministry. And Dave Richards said amen. So it's kids ministry, it's pastoral, and it's global or missions as well. And so MSO expanded in 2017. And so MSO, Ministry Studies online, I'm getting ahead of myself, anytime, anywhere, is a 30-credit college-level ministry training program, fully online. Classes are taught by veteran college professors who are experts in their fields of study, as well as seasoned leaders who teach from the trenches. At only $99 a credit, MSO's affordability and accessibility bring ministry training to the busy lives of those trying to balance family, life, and ministry. We say all the time, Ministry Studies Online, anytime, anywhere. In fact, we just had 2 students graduate, and they live in Romania. How cool is that? They graduated our Youth Studies program, and super excited to see that. So a little more information about the program. It's just 10 classes, and you can get a certificate in youth ministry or children's ministry, global studies. We're working on the pastoral track as actually meeting licensing level credentialing with the Assemblies of God. You can earn your certificate in as little as a year. And these credits can transfer into colleges and universities. So we're seeing a growing number of schools say, we'll take those credits. We know they're college level. In fact, they know many of our professors. So we've talked with a lot of schools that say, oh, absolutely, we'll transfer those credits in. It's all online, and there's those 4 ministry tracks. So we'll jump ahead here quick. I want to give you a little sense of the courses that are involved in this. There's 5 foundational courses. There's Life Formation, New Testament Survey, Old Testament Survey, Introduction to Biblical Interpretation, and a theology course. We have 2 of those. One, if you're going to be certified or credentialed with the Assemblies of God, we have a specific Assembly of God theology course, where we have many students that join us from other denominational backgrounds, faith backgrounds, and so we have a thinking theologically course that they just love. So there's the 5 foundational courses. These are for every one of our tracks. These belong with those. And then there's 4 tracks with the specialized courses. And the youth studies, as we've said, KidMin studies, pastoral studies, and global studies. Again, anytime, anywhere. Here's some of the highlights. It's affordable. It's $99 a credit. Each 3-credit class then is $347. That includes the 3 credits and then a $25 admin fee and a $25 IT fee. But here's what it's what you want to say. Here's what it's up against. Our average tuition at Christian University is $1,035 per credit, or $35,000 in a year. So the average 4-year total on campus, $140,000. That's just scary when you look at it, and it's not getting any better. So here we are, affordable. It's also accessible. It's completely on time. Again, we talk about anytime, anywhere. People can be anywhere in the world. If they have an online connection, if they have internet, they can take these classes. And it's all about access. We want to be able to have people someday that are in the bush in Nairobi, outside of Nairobi, Kenya, that can take classes because they've got a phone and they can access these courses. So we are partnering with some incredible ministries that we believe are going to help us really launch into worldwide accessibility. And then the third piece is that we always talk about is our academic excellence. We have articulation agreements with colleges, and we're working on more and more as we go. But it's so important. When I taught for 10 years at the University of Valley Forge, my best students were people that were doing youth ministry already. In other words, they were learning in the context of ministry. They weren't just learning in a box and living in a bubble on a campus, but they were on a church staff, maybe volunteer, maybe part-time, but they were doing ministry. So they were asking questions that had to do with actual ministry, not, is this going to be on the test, right? So the academic excellence is there, the accessibility there, and the affordability is there as well. Just one look there at the scary growth of our student loan debt in America. It's growing and growing and growing, and they say that it's actually going to be the next financial crisis, like the housing crisis was on the last one. It's not getting any less. In fact, people are going into retirement and they're having their Social Security check garnered for their student loans. And yeah, it's a pretty sad thing. Over 350 students have benefited from ministry studies online. It's affordable, it's accessible, it's academically excellent ministry training anytime, anywhere. So that's kind of my quick overview to talk about that. I would love to hear any questions, and we've got these 3 experts that can give some answers to some questions you might have. Yeah, any questions you have as we've kind of shared the story of MSO?
It would be good to talk about the timing for them, knowing that they're adjusting the program to their schedule.
That's great. So we do say, that's a great question, Ron. When we say anytime, anywhere, people say, oh, I can start it at any time. And the answer is no, you can't start at any time. We do a college academic rhythm type of cycle. So we have fall courses available for a semester, and we have spring courses available as a semester. They're 12-week courses, and you're walking through those 12 weeks together. So you're in a discussion booth or a discussion board with people, talking through the process. One of the great moments of MSO for me, speaking of the discussion board, was we saw one class. In fact, Ron Hall, it was your New Testament survey class, where we had students in Romania, we had students in the foreign country of New Jersey, and we had students in Pennsylvania and California. But we had a student in Thessaloniki, Greece. She was living in Thessaloniki and she was studying Thessalonians. And she was sharing in the discussion board with people. It just brought the whole world together in such an incredible way. So yeah, that's great. Is that what you meant to address there, Ron?
Yes, good.
Okay, good. All right.
What about what do they need to have in their background to enter the program?
The great thing about MSO is that people that are juniors and seniors in high school can actually take these courses. They could actually come into their college career with a year of college already done. So you could literally be a junior and senior in high school. A lot of times people come into MSO because they're graduating high school and they're wanting to go into a sense of a call to ministry, but they don't want to dive into debt to dive into their calling. They don't want to risk getting all of this debt to find out, well, I'm not really called to youth ministry or children's ministry. So that's a common entrance point right after high school. Then there are people, and I was just talking with a pastor in Newark, New Jersey this week, and he said, I have 6 or 8 young adults. They're in the midst of their college or just finishing up their college education, whether that be in business or marketing or whatever, but they're called into ministry. And we talked about how those students can get their ministry training, even though they have a college degree, they can get their ministry training through MSO, again, without having to take on another burden financially of another college degree. Yeah, very exciting. Dave, do you have any questions? I saw you asked. I would love for you to be involved in any way you want if you have a question about this.
No, I just like the fact that, for myself, I was in banking, even though I attended North Central as well. So I had a combination of work related and then also ministry through my schooling. But I really like the fact, because of other leaders that I have worked with in kids ministries and other volunteers, the fact that I can encourage them to go through courses like this, to work on getting their degree, also understanding of kids ministries, and dig in deeper as well. Beyond just the hands-on ministry, but it allows that combination of schooling and ministry without leaving their job that may take care of their families. And so the ease of it, and what I love about it too, and we've talked about this, is they can sit at a computer, they can sit on a tablet, or they can even do this on their phone if need be, and anywhere in the world. World. And so we've got some guys in our church. I know I represent our CLA men, but they've done missions trips where they're able to actually be on the field, doing a mission experience, doing some construction, and then sit down and work on their MSO course. And so it's just exciting to see that happen.
That's great. Our first graduate, Kingsley Powell, lives in San Luis Obispo, California. And he told a story of how he was out surfing one day, and this was in the middle of February. So when he told us, we all hated him, but he was surfing with his buddies one day, and he remembered he had to take a quiz. And he said, "Oh guys, I'm sorry. I'm taking a college class and I have to go take a quiz." Well, he gets into shore, sits at a picnic table or on a blanket or something, opens up his laptop and is taking this quiz on the beach. And his friend said, we thought you had to go take a quiz. He said, I'm taking the quiz right here, right on the beach. So anytime, anywhere, it's truly happened, and we're excited to make that available. So good point.
It
All
seemed
right.
the value of the courses for anyone. Not everyone wants to pursue credentials in that angle and be in full-time ministry, but the expansion, if you're working with youth, you want to work with pastoral children, you're taking college level courses, getting the advanced training, being exposed to things that will help transform your ministry in the local church. And I think that's the great value. Even if you plug in, take a couple of courses to get yourself going.
That's good. That's good stuff. Love it. All right. Any other thoughts anyone has before we step into our next part of this thing here?
I was going to jump in with something similar that one of my, so I'm a student pastor and I have a team of adult leaders, and one of my adult volunteers went through the youth track through MSO, the whole program. And so what I mean to say is that he benefited greatly as an individual and, maybe doing vocational ministry in the future, but our ministry benefited greatly through his education. And he's one of our key leaders. He preached for me last week. His preaching skills, his understanding of the Bible, his leading of a small group, like his skills reflected the training that he was receiving. So just like you said, Dr. Hall, that your ministries are transformed through this education.
Wow.
Well, if I can share this real quick, Chris, you know this as well as I, is a lot of times our team leaders, our volunteers, start taking kind of our DNA and our personalities when they do ministry, but going through MSU and really finding their own identity with the understanding and the knowledge, man, it just blossoms. And a lot of times they become better than we are, which that's our goal as leaders.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Good word on that. How many youth pastors would love it if their youth leaders, had New Testament survey or Old Testament survey, had a biblical foundation, had a theological understanding. So huge. One of the things that I learned from my master's project, my culmination project for my master's degree, was that most of the youth ministry, and this will be true with our children's ministry as well, most of the youth ministry done in most of our churches is not done by full-time youth pastors, but part-time, bivocational, volunteer, people who can't leave their lives, their mortgages, their families, their 3.2 kids and a dog, and come to a school to get their training. This can come to them. So that is very exciting. Very good. All right. Well, we've got about 10 minutes left and I want to let you go. But here's what I want to talk with you about next. And we're going to come back to that screen share there and talk about this. This is XLA. All right. So here's what came together. I was tasked with putting together an internship program at a large church in Pennsylvania where I was the missions pastor and on their pastoral staff. And I said, I want it to be more than just free labor for the church. I don't want them just hanging out in the hallways and cleaning gum off the carpet. They might do some of that, but let's make sure they're getting the foundational stuff. So we married sort of an internship experience along with the academics that MSO can provide. And so we watched 8 students within a matter of about 9 months be able to grow in their leadership, in their ministry, in their academics, and in their ministry specific stuff, so that they picked a track, a youth ministry track or a children's ministry track. And they grew personally. So they were growing in all of these areas over those 9 months. And by the end of those 9 months, they were able to meet the educational requirements for licensing level credentialing with our fellowship, the Assemblies of God that this church was in. And how exciting was that? I mean, people have gone to 4 years of college and again, been into such debt to get that, and they couldn't go into ministry. These people, not only did they get the academics, not only did they get the ministry experience, not only did they learn from leadership, the in-context ministry, but we also took them on a 10-day missions trip to Greece. We went to Thessaloniki and Corinth and Athens and Philippi and Berea and walked them in the places where Paul had done ministry, and where much of the Bible takes place. And it just opened up their eyes as we were on Mars Hill, where Paul said, I know the name of that unknown God that you have an idol to, or a statue to. I know that unknown God, and his name is Jesus, and he's Almighty God. And we were right there looking at the right there in Athens. It was just phenomenal. So they experienced all of that together. And once we went through that process and we had kind of pounded out the pieces of that, we realized we could bring this to virtually any church. If your church has, I want to say it this way, a term my brother would often use, a going concern. In other words, if your church is healthy enough to produce leaders, it doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be healthy enough to be able to replicate the leadership that you have. You can train leaders right where you are. You don't have to send them away and never see them again. You can raise up leaders right where you are. And so we call it XLA because anything can go in the X, right? In fact, Chris, you have experienced the process of the XLA experience there. He's at Harvest Church, and so it's called Harvest Leadership Academy, the HLA, instead of GT. I was at Glad Tidings Leadership Academy. And so, Chris, you've been able to experience this.
Yeah.
I want to have you share a little bit about that, because there's three kind of steps that we have. And just before you do share, I want to just share these three steps. First, there's the conversation. I can walk through with a pastor on the phone this conversation of what could it look like. And I'm sharing this with you because you might be a pastor watching this, or you might be a leader in your church. You might just be attending a church saying, I wish we had something like this at our church. And so we can have a conversation just by the phone. I can speak with the pastor, the leader of that area of ministry, and we could talk about what it could look like. And then there's step two, which is a consultation, where back in the day, when we actually went places before a pandemic, I went up and met with the Harvest Church executive leadership team. We talked about the strengths of their church and how could that come to bear in terms of raising up leaders. And then there's the ongoing coaching as you're walking through this. So we believe that XLA could happen in virtually any church that's healthy enough to raise up leaders. So Chris, you experienced these steps. What was that like? And talk to us a little bit about the Leadership Academy model.
Yeah, the process was incredible for us to go through. We the idea of a leadership academy, a school of ministry of some kind has been in the DNA of our church for decades. They have always been talking about how do we get to do this. Someday we're going to be able to formalize this process. So when you and I were talking about XLA, I brought it to my lead pastor and I said, this might be it. And so then they had that conversation and decided, hey, we can, take some steps, went through the consultation process. And for our specific context, we had, those 4 tracks as well. We had a pastoral track, a kids track, a youth track, and a music track, music ministry.
Kind of a worship
track. Yeah. So for us, that process was really eye-opening to do something we've always wanted to do. And it's another way to do something that we do all the time, right? We're always, equipping leaders and sending out leaders. But this is a really, the structure that XLA can provide was extremely helpful for us because we want to equip leaders, but we don't want to waste their time. We want to make sure that we have something quality to give them. So through XLA, we were able to give, provide MSO courses along with, in conversation with you, structure a schedule for each student where they're meeting with a coach on staff at our church. And that process was eye-opening and really, really helpful as we, we're still in the process of really seeing what the fruits of HLA could be. But the process has been incredible for us.
Awesome. I'm excited because there could be churches all over the Northeast and the Southeast and the Midwest and the West. There could be all over churches. I sat the other night, Beth and I had dinner at a friend's house, and there was a man and his wife and there's kids there, and they've been missionaries. Help me out, Beth. Was it in it was South Africa, I believe. Is that right?
They were in more closer to Tanzania.
Closer to Tanzania.
Yeah.
I just remember the name of their church. It was called The Ocean.
Yes.
And so, but a large church, like 900 people in this church. And as we just talked through the evening, and they asked what I'm doing and why did we move to Missouri, and I'm sharing some of that. This guy, I'll still remember, he picked up the card because I gave him the card to tell him about XLA and what that could look like. He picked it up and he said, "The ocean needs this," you know? And so, and again, Beth and I just look at each other and we say, the world needs this. This is such an incredible opportunity to raise up leaders without, again, putting them into debt, without sending them away, having them learn in context. And so, again, we're blown away that maybe God has postured this for his glory and for his kingdom in a powerful way. So, yeah, any questions or input that any of you would have regarding XLA and what that looks like?
Well, Phil, I know for us, you know, in our area here in Pennsylvania, we've got a lot of our juniors and seniors that are actually doing dual enrollment a lot of times. You know, so they've nailed all their classes they needed to, and their senior year just shrinks down. You know, you kind of wonder why go to school for one class. But but what I love about this program is the fact that if they are going to do dual enrollment, they can use MSO, but also why not have the XLA available, because they're already involved in our church, in our ministries, and to be able to have the best of three worlds put into one. I mean, talking about raising up a generation of strong leaders that not only are wrapping up their high school and even some early college, but to be able to learn at such a young age to be an effective young leader. I mean, what a powerful tool and resource that you're putting out there.
Yeah. You know, I love hearing those stories and that input, because students all over are finding themselves graduating. Sometimes they don't even know what they want to do. And so they go and spend $30,000 and play video games all night, you know, and say, well, I don't want to be an accountant, you know, but they don't have to do that kind of thing to discover their calling. If there's someone that you know, if it's you, that you sense this, I just wonder if this is the calling in my life. I'll give you another story, an example. Sarah was her name. And we had two students that signed up real close to each other. And I'll tell you both their stories congruently here. Sarah was 17 years old. She had been homeschooled her whole life. Her dad was the completely volunteer pastor of their little AG church up in northern Vermont. She was running the youth group at 17. She felt called to ministry, but again, they had very little money. She didn't want to go into debt to find out. And so she took MSO. She ended up going through MSO and then graduating with her certificate, went on to the University of Valley Forge for an associate in arts degree, and went on from there to Liberty University and got a 4-year degree there, and is now in ministry with her husband. At the same time, the 17-year-old was taking it. This Adine was her name, and Dr. Adine, she already had her doctoral degree in educational psychology. And she and Sarah were taking this together, and they were learning so much from each other. Dr. Adine, I think she was mid-30s. She was the middle school pastor at a large African-American church in Maryland. And they were learning from each other. Now, I don't think Sarah ever knew that Adine was Dr. Adine Harvey, you know, but they were learning so much. Adine from a 17-year-old and a 17-year-old from, it was just so neat again to see that happen. But to be able to take it, whether you've already gone far in your academic process or whether you haven't even taken a step yet, you can get involved in this, and it can propel you to the next step in whatever God has for you. So good. So good to hear those things. So good to hear those things. Well, I want to wrap this up now with, am I still sharing this screen? Is it still being shared or no? Good. Okay, wait, you're seeing us, but not the PowerPoint, right?
Right.
That's good. Okay. I want to share with you just the gifts that we have for anyone that's joining us. And even if you're watching this on later on Facebook, we would like to extend these gifts to you. It's a little limited time, and you'd need to contact us, and there'll be a link below that you can hit. If you've watched this and you've been with us, we want to offer these to you. So here they are, and anyone watching this can avail yourself of these. The first thing is for students. For any student that, whether it's you or you have a student in your church, your ministry, or in your life, or in your family, maybe it's a I don't know, a nephew or a niece or something, or a grandchild. But for any student, for $50 off the first class, which we're going to make unlimited for any student that you have, we can offer them $50 off the first class. So if you have someone, get in contact with us. We'd like to pass that on. We have a gift for students. The second one is for churches. We talked about those 3 steps, right? The conversation, the consultation, and the coaching. The consultation phase of XLA usually costs about $780 to $800 because there's travel involved, there's lodging, there's honorarium stuff, and we're going to waive that fee completely. And in the age of COVID, we can do virtual consultations with an executive leadership of a church or a ministry, and so we can waive that. So that's not only a gift to students, but a gift to the churches. And then for pastors and leaders, we want to make this available. And I had to talk to the board of MSO to make sure that this was okay, because we want to offer free for 30 days 2 of our best courses, all of the videos in 2 different courses. And I do want to share the screen with you for this one, if it still is here somewhere. Maybe it's not. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's 2 courses that we want to share. One is Biblical Theology of Missions. Dr. John Easter is one of the most brilliant, passionate for the gospel men that I know. And he taught our Biblical Theology of Missions course. Excuse me. And so his videos are available to you for 30 days, for the month of August, for those that are watching now. And also, you could choose between that and our Christian Theology of Worship with, with Todd Marshall. This course is phenomenal as well. And this is like high quality, 5 cameras, really, really powerful. So I'm getting choked up here. My voice is like whatever. I've been doing some construction. So we want to offer those gifts to you. And all you have to do is contact us, and we'll make them available to you. We are excited. Thank you for coming and for joining us. And thank you, Dr. Baker, Dr. Beth Baker, Dr. Hall. Thank you, Chris, for being with us here. And Dave, it's great to see you. It's just good to see the ministry there, and great to hear the stories and how MSO can really make a difference in your life. And so there we go. God bless you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll end this now.